Good afternoon. Dear colleagues, we are pleased to present you a research on the topic Digitalization of Geographic Higher Education, Problems and Prospects. The relevance of the research problem is determined by a range of contradictions, namely between the social significance of the geographic education digitalization and its actual state, between an ever-increasing amount of independent and individual work of students and the necessity to facilitate all types of educational and cognitive activity of geographer students anytime and anywhere with available and appropriate means of GIS technologies, ICT, and mobile ones particularly, between the potentials of modern digital technologies and an inappropriate level of their mastering by students and teachers of higher education institutions. Overall, educational digitalization requires as corresponding scientific and methodological as technological and financial support. We envision the solution of our research issue in the theoretically substantiated and practically approved methodical system of digitalization of geographic education via creating the informational educational environment of higher educational institutions. The latter comprises the implementation of digital technologies, GIS, mobile, and cloud ICT, taking into account the methodological conditions, and aims at the formation of professional competence of future geography teachers, specifically digital one. However, this publication focuses on defining the concept of digitalization of geographic education, clarifying its essence, advantages, and disadvantages. The article aims to determine the essence and the content of digitalization of geographic education in secondary and higher school, to disclose the challenges and prospects of its development. The problem we are studying has been the subject of research for many scholars. This is shown on the slide. The abrupt and mass transition from the real classrooms to virtual networks brought to life radical changes in the organization of the educational environment and accentuated the urgency for the general digitalization of education, and specifically geographic one. The latest scientific literature interprets digitalization of education as the introduction of modern ICT technologies into the educational process, aiming to equip the youth with the 21st century skills, for instance, to analyze the reliability of received information, to apply critical thinking, etc. Educational digitalization involves extensive use of varied multimedia content for educational purposes and interactive learning methods for the intensification of educational process. Digitalization of education assumes the augmented, virtual, and mixed reality, cloud, mobile, and internet technologies, educational gamification, distance learning, open online courses for mass audience, and the launch of digital universities. It is a prerequisite for the raise of the level of organization of the educational process, the insurance of the availability of electronic resources and services, the increase of ICT competence level among students and teachers. We consider the digitalization of geographic education to be the introduction of modern digital technologies in the process of geographic disciplines study aimed at the formation of future teacher professional competence. The implementation of geographic education digitalization may ensure the sustainability of the overall educational process and the professional training of future geography teachers, especially in the conditions of social crisis phenomena. The geography students should acquire skills by working with appropriate equipment and software such as GIS, digital weather stations, tools for creation of new generation electronic educational resources, while taking geography courses and thus develop their professional competence. The digital technologies in geographic education will provide an opportunity to explore various physical and socio-geographical objects, phenomena and processes, to identify their causes and predict their effects on sustainable social development. Nowadays, digital technologies evolve extremely rapidly, so their implementation in the education has a number of advantages that affect its quality. The remote mode enables students to master geographic disciplines synchronously or asynchronously outside the classroom, regardless of the location, to adapt the pace and schedule of study to their individual needs. The digital technologies open up many new opportunities, primarily related to multi-channel pedagogical communication, video lessons, presentation, teachers' live speech, student group chat, etc. VR and AR technologies are gaining their importance in geography education as they offer a new and innovative approach to the study of geography, making the process more interactive and engaging for the students. These technologies can visualize the object as much as possible. If previously many geographical phenomena and processes were presented in 2D format, now they can be in form of 3D models available in normal, analyph, or stereoscopic models. Students receive information in a ready-to-perceive look without spending time and cognitive effort on its interpretation. Educational AR and VR technologies enrich visual and contextual learning, improving the content of information and contributing to the productive assimilation of what is learned. However, the global transition to e-learning has vividly manifested a great lack of tried and tested uniformed educational methods in digital pedagogy. Teachers of higher education institutions worked out their methods by trial and error or borrowed them from related fields. It has business or television online conferences, business trainers, and even teenage streamers. So geography teachers were no exception. The general analysis of the experience of digitalization in geographic education uncover a variety of technologies currently employed by teachers in the education process. The review of the methods of geography teaching argues that secondary school teachers most often make use of some digital technologies of general purpose, for example, class time, learning apps, Nowrock, scribing technologies, blogs, online puzzle generators, tapes, tests, etc. The above-mentioned technologies help to acquire knowledge of geography and provide communicative interaction between a teacher and students. Higher education institutions mostly implement GIS technologies such as Google Earth or Google Maps, which train students to work with cartographic materials. Geography teachers in secondary school very rarely put into practice specialized digital technologies, if ever. All above facts considered bring to light certain problems in geography teaching practice. Narrowing the digitalization of geographic education to the use of various gadgets or general-purpose digital technologies. Underestimation of GIS technologies, technologies of remote sensing of the Earth, satellite navigation. Occasional use of VR, AR technologies, mobile applications with cartographic content, etc. Geography students may be unaware of wide range of services and applications used at school due to their diversity. A teacher tends to use the limited technologies that he managed to master on his own without proper methodical support. Specialized digital technologies, particularly cartographic ones, are rarely used in school practice due to the lack of necessary educational and methodological support and proper technological access. The list of observed problems and pitfalls cannot be considered exhaustive, since the application of digital technologies causes a number of other challenges of a technical and physiological nature. Yet, the humanization of the education in the age of digitalization requires a teacher to manage students' educational motivation during group facilitation as the self-organization basis. However, we do not dwell on the detailed characteristics of all the difficulties, as we only note that the real state of educational digitalization, especially geographical one, unfortunately does not fully correspond to social needs at the level of modern geographical science development. The potential possibilities of digital technologies are much wider than the level of their use in educational practice. In connection with the above stated, we envision the prospects for further digitalization of the geographic higher education as following. We believe that the implementation of the specified aspects of digitalization of geographic higher education in the near future should have a positive effect on the professional competence of future geography teachers, their commitment to professional development, and mastery of information technologies. The theoretical generalization of scientific resources and the analysis of educational practice, let us consider the digitalization of geographic higher education not only as one of the actual directions of its modernization, but also as a rather promising way of popularization of geography among students. Modern digital technologies have powerful didactic opportunities for daily learning exploration of planet Earth. They love studying the Earth in its physical dynamics and the world in its socio-economic aspect. We see the prospects for further scientific research in solving the following tasks: to determine the state, directions, and prospects of digitalization of geographic education, to develop a model of the methodical system of digitalization of geographic education, and to identify methodical conditions for its effective implementation, to implement digital technologies in higher education institutions in order to form the professional competence of future geography teachers, to check experimentally some components of the projected methodical system of digitalization in geographic education, to develop methodical recommendations for the implementation of the methodical system of digitalization of geographic education. Thank you for your attention.